Psalm 11 begins with a confident statement. In the Lord I take refuge. Over these past few months, I've found myself reading and reflecting in the book of Psalms a lot. It has been a source of comfort and solace in these peculiar and painful and perplexing months. There is a word that I've noticed over and over, a constant theme through the book of Psalms. It's the word you hear in Psalm 11, verse 1, refuge. In the Lord I take refuge. 20% of the individual psalms in the book of Psalms contain this idea of taking refuge in God. And I found myself asking, what does that mean? How does one do that? I mean, in this world right now, where there appears to be catastrophe happening all around us, what does it take for me to echo the words of the psalmist? In the Lord I take refuge. Psalm 11 is a psalm of David. David appears to be living in a bit of a catastrophic world himself. He declares, in the Lord I take refuge, but then he writes, how can you say to me, flee like a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bows. They set their arrows against the strings to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? And you hear the angst in his voice, don't you? I can't run. I can't escape. I can't flee to the mountain, because if I were try to run to the mountain, the enemy is there. He's hiding in the shadows, ready to shoot. There's no safety there. And then the foundations are crumbling, are being destroyed. And when the foundations are destroyed, it doesn't matter if you're righteous or unrighteous. Everyone is caught up into that destruction. You can't hide. You can't flee. But haven't you wanted to? Just run and hide and flee from all of the brokenness that's in our world right now. Oh, but we can't. We know that. We know we can't just run and hide. And that's the psalmist's point. And so he echoes in the very next line, he echoes a statement that we see several times in the prophets. In verse 4, he makes this claim. The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord is on his heavenly throne. The phrase is usually a statement of God's sovereignty. It's a reminder of God's presence and his power and his control. The psalmist continues in the rest of Psalm 11 to reflect on this idea that God sees the injustice in the world. And one day he is going to make everything right. And so David defines his refuge, his comfort, his security, his hiding. Not in hiding from the circumstances and the reality of his current world, but rather finding his refuge in the nature and the character of God. And it begs the question, where are we hiding? Where is our refuge? You know, it's easy in our lives and in our world to search for comfort and security and all sorts of things in our world right now. A cure for this disease that's causing a pandemic, in an election, in an economy, in a movement. But that's searching for refuge, for security in a place that the enemy still hides and where the foundations still fail. But God is unchanging and unmoved. He's still on his throne, constant, seeing all things, and one day will make all things right. And in him, there is true refuge. We can't escape. We can't hide from the crazy of our world right now. But we don't have to succumb to it either. Our refuge is not found in trying to flee, nor is it found in what happens. It is found truly in a God who never changes. Are you able to declare with the psalm, "In the Lord I take refuge"? If you're not, you are missing the peace and the joy that is available to you. Would you make your prayer today, or maybe pause and make your prayer right now? God in you, in